How you doing, guys? BC90 here with the next video in our Poise series. This time I've changed up my setup. We are maining a Lothric Greatsword instead of the Zweihander for this particular setup. So we're looking at a refined Lothric Greatsword plus 10, C scaling and strength and dexterity. Our stats are still the same at level 125. As I've mentioned before, I will be staying with these same attributes for most of these build videos until I start focusing on great hammers, which need a bit more strength. So otherwise, the greatsword itself, two-handed, deals an absurd amount of damage. We're looking at 626 two-handed. Now when we reinforce that with gold pine, we are looking at 721. Now this greatsword also has split damage with lightning there at 174. Which is still okay. It does still hit very hard. I think it's the hardest hitting greatsword or ultra greatsword in this class, though don't quote me on that. And the gold pine scales quite well with the lightning. Now, in order to keep our weight ratio below 70%, so we avoid that fat roll, I've had to make a couple of changes here. One being the arbalist, I've switched to the knight's crossbow plus 10. Obviously not as effective as the arbalist, but because I want that versatility here, having different options to deal with different weapons, the knight's crossbow is the second best option. Split damage with lightning again, but we're only really using it to catch mistakes or punish mistakes, so it's still quite good. We've also changed our helmet to the Alva helm. Reason being for that weight ratio, we want it below 70%, and the greatsword is quite heavy. 16.5 units, so we've had to make some changes to accommodate it. Again, the poise breakpoint we're looking at is 45.81, and we're still above that at 46.54, so we will still be able to trade quite effectively against pretty much any weapon except those great hammers. Anyways, let's see if we can get some PvP with this setup. Go straight to the arena. Now I have been trying to get some footage with this setup today in Pontiffs and the arena, but I have been getting quite a bit of lag in the arena especially. My internet connection is quite good, so I don't know if it's an issue with the server or, you know, maybe right now there's too much lag happening in there, don't know. But we'll see how it goes this time. Hopefully we aren't waiting too long for a match here. Oh, we'll make sure our knight's crossbow is armed there. Alrighty, we have a contender. Now, a good thing about this Ultra Greatsword in comparison to the others is how hard it hits. Hopefully we'll get to showcase that now. There we go, you just saw that 3-hit combo. We've almost depleted their entire HP bar there, and we've finished them off with the crossbow. So that's one thing I love about this weapon, is its ability to help you come back fairly easily in a match. I mean, 2 hits from this thing and you pretty much go through 2/3 of your opponent's life bar. So no matter how poor you think you're doing in a particular match, it only takes one mistake for your opponent to make, and this thing can really propel you back into a level playing field. So we'll go straight on to the second match here. Now, I will try to keep my videos fairly short, I guess, below the 20-minute mark. I guess that's still pretty long. Reason being is there are a lot of videos out there with the 30-40 kill streak, which is still awesome to watch, but in my opinion, I don't think it's a good indicator of how good a weapon is or how good a player is using that weapon, because a lot of the time you could have runs where you're fighting consecutive average players, or you don't fight a good player for a while, and that good player could be hiding at after 2 matches, after 30 matches, or whatever. So really, we're just going to showcase the weapons here and see how we go. Again, we did fight that same player there, using that Great Axe, but we did get to showcase this weapon's abilities again. Like I said, 2 to 3 hits and your opponent's pretty much done for. Another thing I forgot to mention with these ultra weapons is the fact that they are unparryable. Only their rolling R1s and running R1s are parryable, but their two-handed swings are unparryable. I don't know if I've mentioned that before. So this means that if you do see your opponent trying to parry those attacks, it won't work, and you will be able to slice through them. So we'll go straight on to the next match here. So yeah, like I said before, those 30-40 kill streak videos are awesome to watch, but again, not a real indicator of how good a weapon is. It really all depends on how good your opponent is, in my opinion. But we'll see how we go here. Nice use of spacing there. So this is a perfect example of an opponent using, looks like a halberd there, able to space us very well, going for those pokes in between our attacks. Excellent. Now we edged out a victory there, basically going for those trades where we knew we would end up on top. again, that was probably an unfavourable matchup for us. Those ranged weapons, those spears, those halberds that have a bit more range are a little bit more difficult to fight because your Ultra Greatsword is a lot slower. So just be wary of your opponent looking for openings in your attacks. Now I am playing fairly aggressively with the Ultra Greatsword, but it's not just the only playstyle you can use. You can switch to a more defensive playstyle and bait your opponent into attacking. It just really depends. I tend to play a bit more aggressively, I guess because it's fun that way. And here is the same guy, so we're going to see how this plays out here. Gotta watch for that parry. Whoop. There we go, perfect spacing there. So like I said, when using those, spears and halberds that have more range, it is a bit more difficult to get in there. But like I mentioned before, it's so easy to come back with this weapon. Just 2 hits, get them in that stun lock and that stagger, and it's game over. Alrighty guys, win or lose, see if we can get one more match into this video. We've been having a lag-free run, which is awesome, and really I've been just showcasing the Lothric Greatsword's ability to deal insane amounts of damage, and really it's an excellent comeback weapon as well. Okay, crow quills. Oh. Nice. Excellent. Now, I'm not too sure if that was an unfavourable matchup with those quills. I mean, they are quite quick, but as you saw, we used a little bit of spacing there, waiting for opportunities for my opponent there to make mistakes, and, you know, 1 or 2 hits with this sword, and it's a lot of damage, guys. Alrighty, so I might wrap up the video there. We've got a few decent matches in there to showcase the power of this greatsword, this ultra greatsword. Basically, its strengths lie in its absurd amounts of damage two-handed, its ability to help you come back from, you know, what could be a disastrous match with just 1 or 2 hits. Obviously, the stagger and stun lock capability of this weapon as well is just as good as the other ultra greatswords in its class, except this one hits harder. And on top of that, look, it's an all-round great weapon in my opinion for a Poise build at this soul level. Optimized at 45.81. Trading with this weapon is exceptional. The only real weakness I can say is that it's quite slow. So yeah, just be aware of those guys who are you know, poking with spears or halberds, or, you know, using those faster weapons to get around you. I would probably suggest using a more defensive playstyle. Just bait them into attacking you. Otherwise, it's a great weapon, guys. So just as before, if you liked the video, hit the like button. If you're starting to enjoy my content, please subscribe. Otherwise, I will just continue making these videos, focusing on Poise, looking at different weapons that benefit from these Poise mechanics, and how our Poise armor can combine with the weapon and hyper armor frames to, you know, give you those consecutive swings without staggering. Alrighty, guys. Thank you for watching.